All right, hello, this is Home Attack, and I thought about making this video for a while now. And it's never been done before, so you guys might enjoy this. I want to judge every main PlayStation console, all five of them, handhelds not included, PSP not included, because they're just handheld versions of the main consoles. So, which consoles age the worst and which age the best? That's what I'm going by age here because some of you are younger than me. Y'all didn't grow up playing PlayStation 1. Y'all might have played PlayStation 2 maybe, but I'm judging all five consoles. I've owned all five of them at some point or another. If I don't own them now. So, even though this video is going to be very fair and balanced in a general sense, after all, ultimately, this is only just my opinion of which ones is worse and which one is the best. But like I said, it's fair and balanced, so most likely you will agree. Most likely, once I break down the good and the bad of every console. So yeah. Which one do I think is the worst though? The PS4. Now, why is this at the bottom? Why is this at the bottom? In case some of y'all are probably like, come on, Home Attack. PS4 is the worst out of all of them? Are you serious, bruh? Nah, I'm dead fucking serious, man. I'm dead serious. I'm dead fucking serious. If you think this is a piss poor opinion, compare storage space to every other PlayStation console. Compare gameplay to every other console. PS4 comes up short. You can only save about 4 games at the most on your PS4 without buying extra storage. Well, all you gotta do is buy extra storage, Home Attack. That's all you gotta. Why are you only going by the console storage? Why would that make you hate a PS4? Bruh. Why should you even have to buy extra storage, man? I know games take up more gigabytes these days, modern games, but come on, man. This storage space is horrible. When I first bought my PS4 back in 2018, I didn't realize that I was going to have this little bit of fucking storage. What the hell, bro? But the issues don't stop there. Let's talk about the games. The loading times are even worse than what we got in PS3, which is understandable, but when you got loading times, bad, terrible loading times on every game, games are taking like 10 minutes to load. That becomes a problem. Like, no matter if it's an old PlayStation 4 game or a newer PlayStation 4 game from like 2018, 2019. And then you got some of the contracts on there, like Crash Nitro Fuel, to where you got this 72-page fucking document that's like, come on, bro. Like, you have to sell your soul to the devil to play a fucking game. Like, come on, bro. That's a problem. Now let's talk about the capture gallery as well, because this is also one of my gripes with the PS4. When I recorded videos on my PS4, they would look grainy as hell, man. Like the saved data, it looked like somebody just wiped their ass on my fucking TV screen. I'm telling myself, isn't it supposed to look like? Isn't my recording supposed to look like what I played? Why does it look all cloudy and smudgy and foggy looking? Like, what's going on? So, between the storage, the lack of storage, the horrible loading times, the gameplay, some of the worst gameplay ever, man. Them 2K games, them SmackDown games, man, was slow as hell at the time. Buggy as hell. Despite how great the graphics are. Like, damn, this game plays horrible. Like, a lot of these games would just put me to sleep. I'm not gonna lie, man. This was not a good era for PlayStation at all, man. It's not hard for me to understand why. I mean, I was disappointed when I sold my PS4 and took all my storage and put it on the USB. And your storage on your USB, saved from your PS4, will look a hell lot better on PS5. But boy, man, like when I sold my PS4 after taking all the data on it and putting it on a USB, I only got 50 something bucks for my PS4, and I can understand why you didn't get much from it. Yeah, I probably shouldn't have sold it to GameStop, but just the fact that that's all you're going to get out of selling your fucking PS4. A PS4 that was still in good shape, by the way. That should tell you something. That this is not a very good console, man. This did not age well. But that's my story about PS4. That's my experiences with PS4, rather. Moving right along. Number 4 on this list, the PS5. Now, this might not seem like a fair judgment if you're young, but I gotta talk about some of the problems with this console. Now, there are some good things. Don't get me wrong, there are some good things about the PS5. And one of those good things about the PS5 is the fact that hardly any loading times. That's a plus. That's good. That means that the PS5 is fucking powerful. Now, the problems with the PS5 isn't the PS5's fault, per se. How should I put it? Because that sounds confusing, right? Well, this system is about 4.5, 5 years old. Still about $600. I know because I bought one last Christmas. Most people can't afford it. So you know what they're doing? They're still making games that are PS4 compatible. Now, why is this a problem? Why is this a fucking problem? This is a problem because guess what? That stifles the growth of the PS5. That's meaning it stifles the graphics of the PS5 more specifically. That's a problem. That is a problem. That means yearly games are not going to look any different because they still got to make it for PS4. And it's not like the PS4 doesn't hold itself up graphically compared to what the PS5 was dishing out. This is a downgrade. Just make this system cheaper already. And stop making it compatible so they can stop making it compatible for PS4. The PS5 is clearly very powerful. If there's hardly any load times on these games that take up hella gigs, bro. So clearly the PS5 can do a lot more than what it's doing. It can give us better looking games than what it's giving us. I'm hoping that GTA 6, which I'm going to get, is not going to be compatible for PS4. Because that means it's still going to be looking like a fucking PS4 game. And I don't want that. I'm not all that satisfied with my fucking new SmackDown games. The last 3 of them. Because it looks hardly better than what we got on PS4. Because they're still making it for PS4, man. So yeah, PS5 could easily be higher on this list if it wasn't for that one issue. But that one issue is a huge issue. Number 3 on this list is the PS3. Now, a lot of y'all might agree with me on this, but yeah, PS3 is right in the middle. Let's talk about the good and the bad here. Because the PS3 is kind of a mixed bag for me. Now, the best thing about the PS3 is the storage itself. The best storage out of every console. You can fit your entire fucking life on a PS3. Yes, it's that good. The storage might be unlimited on PS3 for all I know. That's great. But when it comes to the video games that came out on PS3, the loading times suck, of course, because of games getting more realistic technology. This was the beginning of the HD era. In the beginning of video game consoles becoming more than just video game consoles. Even though PS2 was kind of the beginning of that, because you could play movies on PS2, you know, with the right parental controls and all that BS. But PS3 is when it really started to grow. PS3, because PS3 was the beginning of like going online with your console. Your console is now like a computer. You know, you can hop on social media from your game console. So that's revolutionary. Yeah, PS3 was the beginning of like the modern. Your console is also a computer. You can also get on social media. Now, the reason why I say the PS3 is a mixed bag is because despite the good graphics on the games, on a lot of games, some games look a little bit blocky. Like good graphics, but kind of blocky. Some of the games felt kind of dull in this era. There were some stinkers. I'm not going to lie. There were some games that sucked on PS3. I felt like the PS3 hasn't really aged as good as I thought it would. And that's why I have it in the middle here. It's number 3 on this list because the next 2 consoles I feel like they were overall better, in my opinion. But as far as storage and whatnot, as far as what you can do with a PS3, it's number 1 on the list by a long shot. Seriously, nostalgia. I know. That sound, oh, I can't get over it to this day, man. I wanted to put this console at number one so bad. So bad. I had to really stop and think about whether or not I should put PS1 as number one. I didn't want to be a boomer and be like, well, because this was back in my day, back when I was a kid. That's why this is the best to me. No, I'm going to be fair. And even though it's high on the list, it has every right to be. I'm talking about PlayStation 1, folks. I'm talking about PlayStation 1. Why is this number two on the list? Despite how aged it is. Well, let's do some of the best games ever. Those classic games still look fun to play today. Because nowadays you get good graphics but shit games. Whereas back then, for its time, those graphics are fucking awesome. For the limited hardware, look, they made the best out of that limited hardware. Look at Crash Bandicoot. Look at how good the animations are. I'm not just talking about Tekken. I'm talking about a lot of these games. Look at how great. Let's name some of these awesome games. Tekken 3. Let's talk about the bangers that came out. And I don't even know all of them. But man, these games were good. Crash Bandicoot, the early Naughty Dog games, Crash Bandicoot games, Tekken 3, Tekken 2. Dude, Tekken 3 is a fucking god. Like, bro, let's look at some of these. SmackDown 2. Even especially the later portion of PlayStation, like the 1999, 2000 games. That's what, at least 98 and 98 and newer. Like, them games was not fucking around. Like, for the limited hardware, man, you got your money's worth. Okay, like these games were gods, bro. That's why I have to put PlayStation 1 high on the list. Because those games to this day are more impressive than what we're getting today. The PlayStation 1 did they have hardly any bad games at all? This console came out, it came out in 94, 96 or some shit. But it was alive during the Attitude Eras, the best, like the 90s. That generation, also the generation also plays a part too. Dude, the 90s was the best generation ever, hands down. Everything was hot in the 90s. And video games were no exception. But I have to put number one. You already know what number one is, and I have to put that on the list because still it was even more impressive. The PlayStation 2. Yeah, I gotta put it number one on the list. Overall, this is the best console. Look at the games that came out on the PS2. Now, actually, the PS2 had a rough start. That 2000, 2001 time frame, yeah, the games were kind of meh. The developers kind of had to get used to the new hardware, the cutting edge hardware. But once 2002 hit and later, we're talking about some of the best games ever. We're talking about, and I'm not talking about just GTA 3. What about San Andreas Vice City? Tekken 5. SmackDown vs. Raw 2006. SmackDown Shut Your Mouth. SmackDown Here Comes the Fucking Pain. This gotta be number one on the list. I don't know what I was thinking. I was about to put PlayStation 1 as the best PlayStation console. But look what's on this goddamn console. Look what's on this shit. Now, do I like every game on PS2? No. PS2 had its bullshit games, especially like the early portions of PS2. But once that first year was through, once we got used to PlayStation 2, best games ever to this day. Open world games were out of this world, man. Were just the best. It's never going to get any better. Look at the open world you got on San Andreas. And then look at GTA 5. Look how boring GTA 5 is. Or should I say, look how boring the map is. And then look at San Andreas. This console right here, I think overall, Sony reached its peak with PS2. It reached its peak. It will never get better. The games were becoming far more realistic than what we had before, and still with good gameplay. Still the gameplay was good, despite that. Whereas PS4 and PS5, and even PS3, you'll get better graphics, but yet the gameplay will be wonky and slow. Even PS1. PS1 had very bad controls. Like, you know, on them older games. Like, some of those PS1 games were archaic. Whereas PS2, not so much. They're not archaic. They're just aged today. But overall, PS2 belongs in number one. PS2, you won the vote. That's the best console, hands down. But you guys can let me know what you think in the comments on what you think the best PlayStation console is. Hell, some of y'all might think PS4 is the best console because you're stuck with it. But like I said, this is just my opinion. You know, this is not a fact, but I think a lot of y'all would agree that PlayStation 2 overall did the best. This is Home Tech. Peace out.